All right, now I'm going to shake this up a little bit. I added some code. I changed some things around. So I still have the greeting. I haven't changed that. So that's the same from prior videos. We're receiving a name and receiving an age. And then we don't need all of this. So I'm just going to, we just have a greeting. And then we're going to greet the person. And then we will state their age. So we're going to make this fairly simple. All right, so we're going to receive the name and then print out the age. In fact, I can, okay, perfect. All right, so now what we're doing is I've got some variables that are declared, and then I'm just asking some questions. So what is your name? And we're gonna get their name into a variable called name. What is your age? We're gonna get in their age. How are you feeling? We're gonna ask them, are you feeling like happy, sad, whatever, okay? And then we're gonna present them with a menu choice. And I'm going to ask them, what would you like me to print out? Shall I print, if they type in 1, we're going to print out just their name. 2, we're going to print out your name and age. Or 3, we're going to print out how they're feeling, depending on what they put in here. And the idea that I want to express with you, or to go in this video, is each of these is going to be their own function call. And so let's just get this set up so you'll see what I mean. So we're getting 1, 2, or 3 here into choice. And I'm going to make an if block. So an if condition, and we're going to say if choice is the same as, I'm going to start off with the one that we have already created. So I'm going to say 2, and 2 is an int, so I don't need to put that into quotation marks. So if the user types in a 2, then we're going to have, they're going to choose to print out their name and age. Well, we've written a function for that, haven't we? So the idea there is, okay, we're going to call greeting, and then put the parentheses and the arguments. So greeting needs a name and an age. So it needs a string, data type, comma, and then an integer data type. Well, we've got that. So we've got name first. So we've got them to put in the name, and name is a string. String matches this, so we're good. So we're going to put in name, comma, and then age. And so that will call this function, and that'll print out just their name and their age. So let's continue on. Else if choice is the same as, remember, 2 equal signs. Let's start with 1. Okay, and we haven't created this yet, but the idea then is we need to create a function that will print out just their name, because that's the choice we gave them, right? So maybe we'll do something with that. So I'm going to come up here where we have one function already written after the open and close curly braces, but before the beginning of the int main. I'm going to create a new function. Remember, for now we use the word void, and we'll learn next week what that's all about. Let's say print name. Remember, that's a verb that's going to try and describe what is going to happen inside of this function, and it's going to print the name. So this function needs to know what the name is. And so I'm just going to call it a name. Recognize that this is just a variable name, and it can be whatever you want it to be. But the only thing this particular function needs is a name, so it knows to print just the name. So we'll say greetings, and then we'll print out that name. Okay. And then, so we're good to go there. Let's just run this to see, make sure it's working. So let's go ahead and run it. And I'm going to test both scenarios because that's always a good idea. So I'm going to run my program. I don't have any stop breakpoints. What is your name? I'm going to put Kirsten. What is your age? 21. And I'm feeling great. That's a Tony the Tiger commercial if you've ever heard of it. What would you like me to print out? 1, your name. 2, your name and age. And 3, how are you feeling? Well, let's do the first one first. So I'm going to choose 2 so that I can see name and age works. So I'm going to hit 2, and in fact, it printed out my name and age, which means it ran that function successfully. So while I'm at it, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. What would you like to print out? I'm going to put an end line there because that looks a little messy. And then, let's see, this looks a little messy. 1, your name, and so we're going to put some end lines here. Just to clean that up a little bit. That looks a little messy all on one line. So just to clean this up a little bit since I was on it. There we go. All right, now I'm going to run it for the second choice, which was, well, we don't have anything set up yet. So I know that this is working. So now let's set one for this choice. So, oh, I have it set up. I had made the function, but I didn't actually call it. So let's do that. So remember, to call the function, you type out the name of the function, and then I need to put in parentheses this, what they call Intellisense. The editor is trying to let me know that print name requires a string, And so I need to send it a string. Well, we all know that we've already got that information from name, so we're going to send it the variable name. So what was ever in the variable name, send that to print name, and then it should run. So now we have a second function running, and I'm going to run my code, and we'll choose number 2 this time. So, I guess number 1 this time. So what is my name? Kirsten. What is my age? 21. Feeling great. And then this time I'm going to choose number 1 because I want to see if this else if block worked, and it'll run this function instead. So I'm going to choose 2. And in fact, I chose the wrong one, didn't I? I chose 2, which did exactly what the computer was supposed to do, and that is it ran the name, and age, which not really was my intention. So let me do this again. Kirsten, which I spelled wrong, 21, great. And then I meant to do just number 1, which would call print name. So let's try that. And so now it's greetings, Kirsten, so which I spelled wrong. And in fact, it did run that correct one. Great. So now we better do one for 3. Now I have 2 choices here. I could just do an else. Remember, an else catches everything else. And so it's going to catch it. If it's not 1 or 2, it's going to be 3. So that would work. Or if you really wanted to, you could do else if choice is the same as 3, whichever you prefer. If I do it this way, then I have the opportunity to add either way. So either way is correct. Just recognize that one or the other. If I use else, there is no condition. Else is by itself. There is no condition for else because it's a catch-all kind of bucket. Oops. So let's put that back. Either way, whatever you prefer. And so now we have to make a new function that calls, what is our third choice? How are you feeling? So let's make a new function, void, print feelings. Everybody wants to talk about their feelings, right? So string, shall we get the name or just the feeling? Let's get the name also. I'm going to put another variable just so you know the name, just so you know that that's a variable name and it can be whatever you want it to be. String and then feelings. And then I'm going to put the open and close curly brace. And so if you're going to call me print feelings function, I want 2 pieces of data. These are both going to be strings. And then I'm going to see out hello, the name. Maybe I'll do an exclamation point. You said you are feeling, and then we'll put their feelings. All right, perfect. And so now that we've got the function written, we're going to call it. If I can do this, let me do it down here so we can hopefully see it all together. There we go. So now if choice is equal to 3, we want to print out how are you feeling. So we need to call this function and we needed to send it 2 pieces of data. And so we're going to call print feelings and we're going to send it the 2 pieces of data that we've already gotten. We've gotten name, we require name. And the next thing we require is feelings, and we got feeling from here, so we're going to type that in there. And now we're going to run for choice 3, so I'm going to run it again. And we should be able to see, what is your name? Kirsten, 21, great. And then I'm going to choose 3 this time, and it said you are feeling great. So in fact, it's working. And remember that if you are not sure, you can always put a breakpoint. Like if I'm not sure, I'm going to put a breakpoint here in front of 46 because this will help me make sure that everything's going the way I expected. And here's what I mean. So I'm going to hit debug, start debugging. Remember that the program is going to run until it gets to my breakpoint. So I'm going to put my name because it's asking me what is my age and what is my feeling. Maybe snowy. Oh, how about cold? Because today is cold. All right, so then the menu item is being displayed. Remember, the program's running until it gets to my breakpoint. So let's do, I'm going to do 3. How am I feeling? I'm going to choose 3. And now we've stopped at this if block. So I can put my cursor over choice so that I can see that the user typed in 3, which is in fact what I did. So this way I can verify that that is in fact what's happening. And now I'm going to walk through that code. So remember that only one of these if conditions are going to render true. So I'm going to click on step into, and I can see that this that the program skipped this whole if block because choice is not equal or the same as 2. So we watched it skip it, and I can tell because the yellow arrow is on line 50 now. And so hit this again. I'm going to hit step into, else if choice is the same as 1, which it's not. Remember, choice is 3. So I'm going to hit that again. Notice that that whole block was skipped, and now we're on line 54. So the program is going to now evaluate if choice is the same as 3, and we know that it is. So I'm going to click on step into. I can see that we went into the if block. I can see name has Kirsten, feeling has cold, so that seems to be great. So when I go into, I click step into, it looks like I've gone into the print feelings function. I put my cursor over the name. It does have the information that I sent it. I put the cursor over feelings. It does say cold. And so now when we print out the information, it should be exactly what I expect. So I can go ahead and run it. That did in fact do what I expected it to do, and boom, we're off and running. So a good way to test your code is definitely get used to the debugging. What if I had made this backwards? What if I had said feeling and choice? I don't know. Choice is a thing. So can't even do that, and I can't do that because the program is expecting a integer, and I just gave it a, it's expecting a string, and I just gave it an integer. So let's switch it up and give it the name. There we go. Now that should work. And so now if I run this code, I could, if I didn't know better and I ran it, and I chose 3, what is my name? Kirsten, and my age, and I'm feeling great. And then I typed 3, and then I said, hello, great, you said you are feeling Kirsten. Well, see, this is a good example of my output wasn't what I expected. And so if I can't just come in here and look at my code, then I could possibly do a breakpoint. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Do a breakpoint so I could watch what was happening. Maybe I had anticipated, maybe I mixed these two up. Maybe I mixed this, and let's do this. This will be a good demonstration of why a breakpoint is good. So if I run this code, show you what I mean here in a minute. So if I run this code and it says, what is my name? And I put in what I think is right, and then I put great, and then I put number 1 because I just want to print out my name. And instead, oh, my breakpoint's on, so let me continue. And then I can see that, wait a minute, it didn't print out what I was expecting it to. How come it printed out the name and the age when I just chose number 1 and it should have just printed out my name? Well, this is a good place for a debug, because if I run the code and try to figure out why did you do that, run through this again, and I type in 1, now my code is going to break here. It's going to stop right at this line of code because that's where I put the breakpoint, and I can really walk into and pay attention to. If I had typed in 1, which is what I did, I chose choice 1, which is supposed to be your name, I can watch the code and I'll say, okay, what happened? Oh, it went in here. Why did it go in here? Oh, I have the wrong things in here. So if you're paying attention to why did the code print out greeting? Well, it printed out because that's what I asked it to. And then if I look and I can see, oh, because choice is 1, looks like I have the wrong information there. So we need to, oh, I get it. So I need to put that back to 2 and this back to 1. And then I'm going to just stop the code because I think it's doing what I'm expecting it to do. And so now let me run it again and see if I found my fix. So it's going to run it again, ideally. And I go through the stuff again. And now when I type in 1, I still have my breakpoint on, which I really wasn't interested in doing. So I'm going to hit continue. And you can see that it is, in fact, doing what it's supposed to do. So get comfortable with debugging. It's going to save you hair pulling in the long run. But the purpose of this video was just to kind of put together some of the pieces, and that is that we have more than one function in our program. And depending on what the user has chosen in our if block, different functions are going to run. And then we also got an example of sending those different functions some different parameters.